how are some right wingers responding to the shooting? Well, the NRA, which traditionally they just stop tweeting for about 3 days after a mass shooting, which means that they don't actually get to tweet very much because this is America. Instead, they decided to tweet this yesterday. And I swear to God, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So credit to them for actually including the militia part, which most people who spout off about the Second Amendment pretend doesn't exist there. But then they lose all of that credit and way more because they just tweeted out the Second Amendment after a dude who probably loves the Second Amendment went and shot a bunch of people. That's pretty horrendous, Amanda. I guess they don't have to pretend to care about human life anymore.
Yeah, we're beyond that. That's so clear from them. You know, why do we even have these like masks on? You know, it really is about like, this is me, I want control, versus this is you and you want control. And we're just talking past each other. So at this point, we're gonna call it for what it is. This is, people being okay with mass murder. That's what it is.
It is, and sometimes there's a more cowardly version of what the NRA just did. So Jamel Hill, she put this quote up from the Colorado State Shooting Association that says, quote, "There will be a time for the debate on gun laws. There will be a time for the discussion on motives. There will be a time for conversation on how this could have been prevented. But today is not the time." And she correctly points out it never is. So this is the like go-to tactic of the person who doesn't want change. Well, at some point, not now. Okay, well, that's fair. You're right. It did just happen. So not now. How about next Thursday around 2ish? I'm free, Colorado Shooting Association. You wanna talk then? It'll have been a nice buffer. Now, understand that, of course, there will be like 10 more mass shootings by then. But at some point, we have to do it. You're implying that there will be a time. So I think Thursday 2ish is a great time. Pacific, obviously, your Colorado will adapt the time based on that. But no, there's no time. There's no time, like when are we supposed to talk about getting rid of the Electoral College? Not near elections, certainly. Might as well wait until nobody talks about it or cares about it anymore. It's just, it's also by the numbers, and it feels like a play. And so we have a part to fill in this play. So I'm going to point out to people, most of whom already know this, that the US has a couple of massive problems that almost certainly lead to these problems. So for instance, did you know that the US has the highest number of civilian firearms per 100 residents? Of course you do, but I'm gonna remind you, we've got over 120 guns for every 100 residents, making the war-torn country of Yemen look like they just can't scrounge together a couple of ARs. So we've got a lot of that. Meaning that though we have less than 5% of the world's population, we have 45% of all the world's privately held firearms. And totally unrelated, we have by far the most homicides by firearm per 1 million people. You can take a look at this chart. We have 6 times what they have in Canada, 16 times what they have in Germany, 29 times what they have in Australia. And that is a place that is littered with animals that will kill you at the blink of an eye. And yet we're the ones who have a lot of guns that end up shooting each other. Even though, and this is I think the most important thing to point out, it is not that we have a lot of guns and a lot of people die from guns because against all reason, we're really crime ridden. Take a look at this. We don't have comparable rates of violent crime to places considering the level of killings that we have. There are lots of places that are far less safe on average where they don't manage to kill a lot of people all the time with guns because they don't all have access, easy, quick, unrestricted access to guns. You combine all of these things, and what do you think you would get? You'll get something like modern day America, honestly. Any thoughts, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, what you said earlier about that age-old tactic of saying it's not the right time, it's not that I've heard that in so many different derivatives for literally every single type of change that my activists and I try to do. It's like, oh, well, not today, maybe at a more appropriate time, and there's never a more convenient season for change. I think that's Martin Luther King. And if you want change, then do it now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, people who say that are protecting the status quo. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they are doing that because they genuinely are afraid of the power that people have. I think a huge part in status quo resetting the balance or keeping the balance is gaslighting people to forget their own power. So like hey, just chill for a second, just delay it for a little bit. And they do that because it's not only that they're afraid of the actual policy change, but they're afraid of what it means for their own power, because power does not give up power, right? And so, yeah, just remember that when you're demanding change. It's always a fine line when you're trying to straddle, like, okay, diplomacy versus, you want to be able to create traction, right? So you have to get people to the table. But at some point, you're just gonna have to remember that they have their own constituents in their mind. They're serving their own people. Their interests are not the same as yours, even though they're trying to say that it is.
Yeah, Power's not gonna give itself up, and money isn't either. And whether it's the NRA getting money from the gun manufacturers, or Republican and some Democratic elected officials getting money from the NRA and from the gun manufacturers, they're not gonna give that up willingly. And then let a little thing like tons of dead American civilians get in the way of this amazing grift that they've got set up. But in the same way that Amanda was talking about one of these misconceptions we often heard said, I want to respond to another one. And this is sent in by a super chat from Thorin. And Thorin, love you. Thank you for the super chat. As I'm going to demonstrate, couldn't disagree with you more. He says, it's not the guns, it's the mental health crisis we have. A person who wants to commit mass murder will find a way to do it. So Thorin is right. We do have a mental health crisis. It's a big problem. Aside from that, though, I don't agree with Thorin, because sure, a person who wants to kill people can kill people with stuff other than guns. There are places where there have been mass stabbings and things like that. That does happen, but there's a reason that people here use guns, and there's a reason they use the guns that they do generally. It's because they're much better at killing people. I mean, this is sort of a morbid thought, but if you were to go up to someone hunkered down behind a Walmart, shelf while a mass shooter is stalking through, and you were to ask him, hey, if you could, would you want to swap his gun out for a knife? I don't think anyone would be like, what's the difference? It's all the same. It's not all the same. They pick the gun because the gun is the best way to do it. Can I kill someone with a baseball bat? Yes. Can I kill 15 people in 3 minutes with a baseball bat? Probably not. And so I would prefer to have them try to use a knife or a baseball bat. I don't want any of that violence, but if it's gonna happen, I want them to be with the worst guns possible, the worst weapons possible. And so thank you for your super chat, but I just don't agree. It's not just one problem, you're right. It's a combination of multiple ones, and so someone's saying if you took the knives away, they'd use sporks. And how many people do you think you're gonna kill with a spork? Seriously, like jokes aside, and I don't know if you're joking. How many times have we done this on the damage report, on the Young Turks? How many mass shootings? And how many more will we? We will have the same conversation. Maybe someday we'll have it with Amanda again on the show. We'll be blessed enough to talk about a mass shooting in Denver, Tallahassee, Sacramento. I don't know. Maybe it'll be in a city you're in right now.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.